Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking on a mission that is honestly just as fun as it is fascinating. We are going to rigorously deconstruct a bright, cheerful, 3-minute kids script called Bubbles in the Sea. It's an underwater musical adventure starring Baby Bubble and some incredibly cute sea friends like Turtle, Octopus, and Starfish. Now on the surface, sure, it just sounds like a sweet little story about a fish. But actually, as we're about to see, it's an absolute masterclass in psychological design and audience retention.
Which brings us to the big question of the day. What exactly is the secret recipe for capturing and, more importantly, keeping a toddler's attention? I mean, if you've spent even 5 minutes with a 3-year-old, you know they are a famously distractible demographic. Yet somehow, this underwater adventure completely locks them in from the very first frame all the way to the final fade-out. So, how do they pull it off? Let's break down the blueprint.
First up, setting the underwater stage. When we map out the structural timeline, it gives us this incredible bird's-eye view of how tightly packed and perfectly paced this 2 to 3 minute animation really is. From 0 to 15 seconds, we get a sunrise and a narrator welcome. By 15 seconds, we're already into swimming basics. Right at the 1 minute mark, we're meeting new sea friends. We hit the big dance climax at 1 minute and 35 seconds, and the whole shebang wraps up by minute 3. There is zero wasted time here. Every single block of time serves a distinct structural purpose to keep that narrative moving forward.
And what's really fascinating is how they kick off engagement at exactly the 0-second mark. Right away, the narrator completely breaks the fourth wall, shouting, "Good morning, little friends. It's a beautiful day under the sea." There's no long, boring prologue. The narrator just speaks directly to the child, inviting them in and making them an active participant right from the jump.
Next, let's talk about the musical math.
120. That is the magic number here. The script operates at exactly 120 beats per minute in a standard 4/4 time signature, and this is not a random choice. 120 BPM acts as the energetic, bouncy heartbeat of the entire script. It perfectly mimics a brisk walking pace or a happy heartbeat, so it's fast enough to drive the action and keep kids engaged, but structured enough that it doesn't totally overwhelm their processing capabilities.
So, how do they bring that 120 BPM to life? Through an incredibly specific lineup of instruments: ukulele, Glockenspiel, claps, soft drums, marimba, bass, and a children's la-la-la choir. Snappy, right? You'll notice there are no harsh synthesizers or aggressive percussion here. By blending these highly specific, non-threatening acoustic sounds, the creators are engineering an irresistibly happy, warm auditory environment. It basically sounds like a perfectly safe space to play.
Moving right along to casting the sea friends.
First, we meet our adorable protagonist, Baby Bubble, who is a small blue fish. But Baby Bubble isn't alone. We've got Mama Bubble in pink, Papa Bubble in orange, and Sister Bubble in purple. This color coding is absolutely brilliant. For a 2 to 5-year-old, distinguishing characters has to be instantaneous. Giving each family member a distinct, bright color creates a really comforting, recognizable foundation. It essentially mirrors a family unit the toddler already knows, establishing an instant anchor of safety.
Then, once we leave that family unit, the script introduces these fantastic, contrasting character dynamics. Take scene 2, where Baby Bubble meets the wider world. We have a turtle that swims nice and slow, which is directly juxtaposed with an octopus waving all 8 arms. This kind of contrast is a deliberate choice to maintain constant visual novelty. The child's brain is continually stimulated because the physical shapes and speeds they're seeing are constantly changing.
We see this exact same mechanic play out as the cast grows. A starfish spinning happily gives us a fast, rotational movement, which perfectly contrasts with a friendly whale smoothly gliding by. Every single new friend that Baby Bubble meets brings a brand new, captivating physical movement. The animation is never static. It's this constant, flowing evolution of shapes and actions.
But it's not just visual. Check out verse 2, where the rhyming lyrics are directly linked to those physical actions. Turtle swims so nice and slow, Octopus says, "Off we go." The audio dictates exactly what the visual is doing. This multisensory reinforcement is a massive cognitive booster for toddlers. It actively teaches vocabulary. When the kid hears slow, they see the slow turtle. When they hear "off we go," they see the energetic octopus. It totally connects the dots in their developing brains.
All right, let's dive into interactive toddler choreography.
This is arguably the psychological masterpiece of the whole script. The narrator pops back in, breaks the fourth wall again, and asks, "Can you dance with Baby Bubble?" This call-and-response prompt is just brilliant. Right at the minute-and-a-half mark, which is exactly when a toddler's attention span might start to wander, thousands of colorful bubbles flood the screen. It's a massive visual cue, signaling a huge shift in energy, literally inviting the child to get up and join the world they've been watching. Passive viewing, just transformed into active participation.
In the specific instructions for this choreography, I challenge you to visualize this, or, hey, even act it out. First, wave arms. Then, clap twice. Spin once. Jump, wiggle, and finish with a big smile. This is not random flailing. It's a carefully escalating sequence of motor skills. It starts with simple arm movements, ramps up to full-body jumping and wiggling, and caps off with an emotional cue, a smile. It's deliberately designed to burn off that pent-up toddler energy while locking them completely into the rhythm. All this physical movement pairs with this irresistible command, swim, swim, splash today, splash today, splash today, everybody smile. At this exact moment, that highly energetic 120 BPM music peaks perfectly. The combo of full-body movement, the wildly catchy repetitive chorus, and that driving beat, it creates a literal euphoric climax for the audience. Pure, concentrated joy, perfectly engineered through sound and animation.
But then we need the perfect goodbye. Because honestly, landing all this massive energy safely is just as important as ramping it up. So how do they bring the plane down? As we hit the ending segment, we get this beautiful, rewarding finale. A giant rainbow-shaped heart of bubbles forms, and all the diverse sea friends gather together to wave goodbye. The lyrics emphasize this feeling of unity. With lines like, "Everyone is one," it perfectly wraps up the emotional arc, assuring the child that this underwater world is a safe, unified community.
Then, the narrator drops in one last time to cleanly close the loop. "See you next adventure. Bye-bye." It's a super warm, reassuring goodbye. But notice that phrasing, next adventure. It doesn't just end the story, it sets a hook. It leaves the child satisfied but totally primed to demand a replay. It's essentially saying, we're done for now, but we can do this again absolutely anytime you want. Finally, pay close attention to the audio cues as the exit. The music doesn't just abruptly cut off. It gracefully fades out, stripping away the percussion and bass, leaving just that soft ukulele and some gentle children's humming. It's a sonic cool-down. The script deliberately decompresses the viewer, taking them from that high-octane 120 BPM dance party back to a calm, gentle resting state. It's incredibly considerate of a toddler's developing nervous system.
Which leaves us with a truly fascinating question. We've just spent all this time unpacking how Bubbles in the Sea uses pacing, parasocial interaction, color coding, and rhythmic escalation to completely captivate a toddler. But think about your own favorite apps, your social media feeds, the explainers you watch. How do these exact same engagement mechanics apply to the media we consume every single day? Are the algorithms keeping adults hooked on scrolling really all that different from the deliberate design of a kids' show? It's definitely something to chew on the next time you find yourself entirely captivated by a screen. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you on the next explainer.